Welcome back to another episode of the Success Times Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Richard Thompson. Today, I'm joined by Stacey and Trent, two remarkable individuals whose journeys of transformation began with personal health and life crisis and ultimately led them to each other. Together, they've navigated profound change, embraced self-awareness, and built a life anchored in purpose, resilience, and truth. In this conversation, we'll explore how breaking points can become turning points, why doing hard things matters, and how radical responsibility can reshape your relationships and your future. Whether you're seeking growth, healing, or clarity, this one's for you. All right, let's get into it. Stacey and Trent, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thanks for having us.
We don't often have couples in it, in the recording, and so I feel very honoured to be able to spend this time with you to unpack your journeys and to sort of understand the lessons to be learnt from what you've experienced in life.
Thanks for allowing a couple on.
Yeah, taking up space.
From our previous chat and from what I've been able to read, you know, you both have had your own journeys and to get to, I guess, where we are today, but you've both importantly found crossroads or T intersections in your own lives to go, something needs to change. Something needs to be different. So what was the moment, I guess, individually where you knew I can't keep living like this?
So for mine was my health crisis, for sure. In my 20s, I was young and naive and I was a qualified naturopath. So I was very healthy in so many aspects of my life, but living completely out of alignment with some of my key values. You're young, you don't really know yourself. Because I was healthy enough, I was getting away with it for long enough, but it was like that just all came crashing down all of a sudden, and I knew it was time to just shift and change and step up into my calling. And really,
what were the symptoms for you?
It was adrenal fatigue. So basically, I was diagnosed as having started premature ovarian failure, basically menopause at age 27. And I was told, that's it. Go down the IVF path. Don't worry, we can preserve your eggs. And I was single at the time, so it was kind of a massive spin out. Like, what do you mean? Like, I wasn't even contemplating children at this point, and I was sort of just given that one option. And that's when I had to really go, hold on, this doesn't just happen for no reason. Like, there's a reason to this. And upon reflection, I was completely adrenally burnt out. Like, I was working full time as a naturopath, but then I was also working as a personal trainer 3 or 4 days and mornings a week. So 5 a.m. starts, 7 p.m. finish. I was so paranoid about putting on weight myself. So I was also exercising twice a day myself, minimum. Plus on the weekends, going out drinking, partying till 1 a.m. with my girlfriends, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday. So there was literally not one bit of space in a 7-day week that I actually ever sat. And it caught up with me.
Trent?
I was your typical tradie, carpenter, got married quite young, early 20s, had children by the time I was 30, just really threw myself into work. And it ended up catching up with me, with my health as well. And your typical Aussie tradie, you're not really taught to go through what's going on mentally. You just sort of head down, keep going, keep providing for the family. And I ended up basically bedridden for 8 months with back injury. And while you're in that, I was pretty heavily into the painkillers, just to sort of keep functioning. And then I was luckily very lucky able to get surgery that was quite successful, which doesn't happen a lot with back surgeries. I had a microdiscectomy, very quick surgery. About 6 weeks into my rehab, I had a very good physio for the rehab, which I'm very thankful for as well. But I sort of realised, what am I doing? Why am I here? And pretty soon after that, I made the decision to leave the marriage. That's a long story short. Obviously, there was things leading up to that throughout the years. But yeah, it takes a lot to leave a 14-year marriage, and I haven't looked back since. And yeah, meeting Stacey was a very big pivotal moment in my life after that. She's given me the tools. I like to call them tools as I'm a builder, but the tools to sort of go within and really look at why I had so many aha moments after I started doing things with Stacey, like breath work and things like that. Looking back, just go, oh, wish I knew this back in my 20s. I don't regret anything of my life. It's brought me here. But this is what's brought me to creating Balanced Blokes as well.
When you guys were in that change, how did your environment change at that time in terms of your relationships, I guess your careers, for you, Stace, and even your inner voice? How was that pathway?
Mine was a real abrupt change. I chose to remove myself from the environment. So I, at the time, was living on the Gold Coast, and I took a job in a clinic as a naturopath. So left the state, moved back to Geelong, and basically isolated myself for probably about 9 months. And I literally just, that whole internal reflection, what needs to change. And it was so much had to change about my personal healing. I had so much self-worth issues. And that was why, I was obsessed with exercising. I wasn't doing it from a place of this is good for me. I was doing it from a place of punishment and,
Lack.
rejection. Yeah, essentially. So I took myself away, and the habits didn't change straight away. All I didn't have any friends back there, so I literally just exercised every single day, but I slowed down. I wasn't going out. I wasn't socialising. I wasn't trying to fill my cup with other people. I wasn't searching. I was single that whole time that I even was on the Gold Coast, and I was searching the whole time, wanting someone to notice me, wanting someone to love me. And it wasn't until I really just, dropped all that and really went within and found my purpose, which was to be a naturopath, because I wasn't going all in on that really. I was working in a health food store. And so when I stepped up, took the job in the clinic, and that was my focus, and the inner healing, everything just changed. Yeah.
Trent, how did it change for you?
Well, I took myself out of the situation. I left the marriage. It's hard to do with 2 kids. I remember what my brother and sister said to me in the months and even the year and a half following. It's good to have you back. I found myself again. And that period of 2 years from leaving the marriage, taking myself out of the situation, I think similar to Stacey, I sort of found myself. I relaxed again. I didn't throw myself into work that hard. Found who I was again, which in turn led me to be able to meet Stace and be in the headspace to find someone like Stacey. So it's important to go within.
Outside of that relationship, what did people most misunderstand about that decision that you made?
It depends who's asking the question, I suppose. If you look at people who are married and are happily married, it's like stick around and work at it. We'd been trying to do that anyway. We'd been to see counsellors on and off over the years. But then you've got other people that are like, oh, kind of been waiting for you to do that for a while. It depends who you ask, that sort of question.
Stacey, I would have thought that's an abrupt change to go from the Gold Coast back to Geelong. People in your sphere at that time?
Oh, yeah. Because I was the socialite, there was never a time where I wasn't alone. I had girls over at my house every day of the week. Or if we weren't out at the gym together, we were out getting ice cream together, right? I never sat still. I was so allergic to my own company back then. So, it was abrupt, and all my friends missed me, and they all tried to fly down and visit, and I had to just really put a wall in. But it was just such an inner knowing this is what I had to do. I had to just reset and just get really clear on with myself.
But did they understand? Or
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Still friends that I'm still.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure.
I find the topic really interesting because I think if it's an abrupt forced change or an abrupt forced event that elicits the change, that's me speaking from personal experience, but you see it all the time where something will happen, a life-altering moment, something
Rock bottom, yeah.
Yeah, right, but not necessarily. I mean, I think we have to all be responsible and take extreme responsibility, as Willink says, to our circumstances. None of this happened to us. We take responsibility for where we are.
Absolutely.
But the rock bottom thing, if it's somewhat abrupt, then I can see where people change needs to occur. Why am I here? How did I get here? And need to reset. But Trent, I'm inspired by you because from what you've said, it sounds like it's a cut by 1,000, like you're injured by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
And so there is an enormous amount of strength I find for you, but for in any environment where your environment doesn't alter significantly change day to day. You know, it is 1,000 cuts, and at some point, anyone has to say, okay, the staying here is going to be more challenging than the fear of the unknown of pivoting, of changing my
100%.
life. And you're up against that decision because yesterday you decided to stay. Or the last week, the cuts from all the cuts up until last week weren't enough. And then so I think there is an enormous amount of people out there who just, and whatever the subject, whatever the lifestyle or the life environment we're talking about, it doesn't have to do with relationships, but it could be jobs, it could be friendships, it could be family members, it could be anything. But they sit there in this environment where it's not so bad. I mean, it's not ideal,
but it's comfortable.
But it's familiar.
Well, familiar.
It's familiar,
I call it looping. You're sort of looping.
The idea of changing is far scarier and far worse than enduring this here. And it's the fear of the unknown of that, right? And so that's where I get inspired and looking forward to chatting to you both, because I hope that it brightens someone's outlook of, well, maybe it's not as scary. The unknown is not as scary as I thought. For me, I mean, in a not too dissimilar position, Trent, to yourself, but it happened very quickly for me. It was still unknown, the future and the pivot. You get to a position of, I find that it's an easy decision, and that might be for you, Stacey, where you're like, I need to go to Geelong. Like, it's so obvious that change needs to happen. But when it's not so obvious and you're like, well, I don't know whether, I think that's more of takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, I mean, Trent's situation definitely, family, marriage, children. I was 27. I was just renting an apartment on the Gold Coast. It wasn't as much of a, abrupt sort of change, I guess. But I'm very intuitive and I'm also very impulsive by nature. So if I get an idea, I'll go at it 100 miles an hour. So
I can vouch for that.
But I did have a similar situation. So my journey in Geelong was the physical healing, but I didn't get all the pieces of the puzzle with the emotional work that I had to do. So I moved to the Sunshine Coast after being on Geelong, got into a relationship very, very quickly, had a daughter, very, very toxic relationship, ended up leaving when she was 2.5. Should have left a year before I got pregnant. So I do still understand the same thing. Sure. Actually not knowing how I was going to be able to financially support myself, knowing that once I left that would be it. So I do have gone through that similar pivot. But again, it was like I can't stay in this situation, this relationship where I'm being repetitively disrespectful through infidelity and all that sort of stuff. And I wanted more for my daughter. So for me, she was my catalyst. Like, I'll find a way. I'll earn enough money. I'll work from home. Did
you lean on that instance? Because that would have been really challenging for you. Did you lean on your historic past of being able to go from make the decision for what's in your best interests to leave the environment to go to Geelong? Did that help to make that decision?
Absolutely.
To go, I've done it before, I can do it again?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It
absolutely.
Helped make it sooner.
I've always been pretty good with self-belief. I'm maybe not self-belief. I'm very determined and I don't ever quit. So sometimes my loyalty is probably too much. So I knew, at that point, the environment got too intolerable. There was no choice. I had to go.
I think the people that I'm thinking of that, the listener or the avatar is that they're in this situation, whatever it be, and they're comfortable, they're in the loop. It's average, but not bad enough to move, but they've not got experience of how to move.
Yeah.
I think that if you're continually assessing going, that's not good for me, I'm killing it, or I'm getting rid of it, I'm doing something else because I'm being led by my my inner belief, my true north, then you got repetition, you've got that experience, and you trust yourself, whereas you trust your judgment. Whereas if you've never done that and you've got some relationship with a friend or a job that you've been in for 35 years and you hate it, but you don't hate it enough to leave, and because leaving would be too challenging, that's where I think is the pinnacle of where courage needs to be, to go, life is short.
Courage and trust, hey?
Yeah.
It's like that leap.
But I guess it's faith in whatever you believe in, that whether it's the universe or religion or whatever, or faith, or just simply faith in yourself that you'll work it out.
Yeah.
That the change. So I guess pivoting from here is to say, why do you guys think that it takes people until breaking point, until it's so obvious that, because you in those instances you've both said, oh well, I think Stacey, you just said I should have done it, should have made the decision years before.
Yeah.
Why do you think it has to get to a certain point for people to go, now I'll move, now I'll pivot, versus when earlier than that, when it's you are just in an average part of life?
I think hope that it can get better is a big one, because I hoped that things would change, things would get better, but it came to a point where it's not going to. So I think hope will keeps people hanging around.
There must be examples of people in people's lives where that does come to fruition, though.
Oh, absolutely. I'm
where
sure
you
there
hold
would
out
be.
and it does improve.
Yeah.
I think a bit of that comes possibly with hard work as well.
And two willing participants too.
100% of that. Yeah.
Hard work from two willing participants. I think education's key. A lot of us don't know the tools we can use to help the relationship, and then it just sort of keeps getting worse, and then the walls and barriers keep building between you. And when it gets to that rock bottom moment, you can both see no other way out of it. Someone has to leave.
I think another thing is that people don't realise how powerful we are, though, in terms of creating our own reality. You know, and that's a very woo-woo thing to say, I'm sure, but we're literally creating our reality with our thoughts, so our beliefs, so our choices all day, every day. But too many of us just think we're a victim to the environment. You know, exactly what you said before, that's happening to me. I will own, hand on heart, I was a co-creator of every environment, like I was a vibrational match to have chosen a partner who repeatedly cheated on me, because that was a self-worth piece in me that was still not healed. And so this is why I believe I have a great relationship with my daughter's father now, more respect than I ever thought possible. I have an amazing husband, because I think I owned my part in all of it. I never once badmouthed him or walked around, he's this, he's that. Like, I just accepted it as part of the journey, a co-creation that we both got to learn from.
That's a powerful position to be in. And I think you're obviously in a very strong position at the moment, internally, to put 2 feet on the ground and say that. I think when times are really challenging, that's when it's really important to be able to say, I'm still the controller of my environment, right? It's very easy to say that when things are going great, but when you are up against it, the easiest thing to say is like, Trent, what you said made me feel sad or made me feel angry. And say, no. I made myself feel that way. I'm controlling that emotional state. And it's so easy just to lay that blame because it's convenient. It's just what you said made me angry.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not the case.
It's just being mindful. Be mindful of what's triggering you, why you're being triggered. You taught me that.
Well, it's the wounds underneath the trigger that are being brought to the surface to be healed, to be transmuted, to be changed, your perception of it.
So is that the first step in terms of understanding, firstly, to be aware that
radical responsibility is always the first step, in my opinion. And that's how you take back your power.
That's a huge step, though.
Yeah.
That's not nothing. That's not that's not nothing of a journey to take full responsibility. And I feel like quite possibly the people that question the pivot are the people that it hits so hard that they're not pivoting, that they're not the 100%. Ones making their change, and they're seeing you go,
triggered something in them.
Yeah, right. And they're like, oh, don't do that, because all that does is just a mirror to them that they're not of their inaction. And so, I love that. So how do we do that? What's the first step of radical responsibility?
Self-awareness, courage.
I think self-awareness is a big one, because a lot of people think they're self-aware, but they're not really. They're stuck in these loops. They're not aware that they're in these loops.
Talk to me about that, Trent. What was your journey to self-awareness?
When I made the decision to leave, it's taken me a while to become self-aware. And as I've said before, meeting Stacey was a part of that step. And then it's all come crashing in. It's made a lot of sense, which has given me a purpose because I want to share that with the world as well. I'm still going through the process. I don't think I'll ever stop. Anyone who says they've finished learning is sort of on their deathbed. The self-awareness thing, it's a lot easier when you've got a partner on board with it and is helpful and patient.
But also bold enough to hold the mirror and call you on your stuff.
100%. Early days I'd get triggered and get my back up. Now I'm just like, no, she's trying to help me. It's really good to have a partner. Sometimes you can't. You've got mates. You soon know who your mates are once you start being self-aware. You want to hang around the ones that sort of help you grow, don't hold you back. Family's the same. Can't really break up with your family, but you can just sort of not hang around them as much if they're not helping you grow. There's going to be some point for everyone in their lives where they can go choose their path and be aware of it. Otherwise, you're just running on your computer, internal memory, day in, day out. And it'll end up putting you on your ass anyway.
Is there a period of time in that early stage of self-forgiveness to be able to, because if you it's a day of reckoning almost to your own self to say, well, I'm taking responsibility for everything that's happened in my life.
Forgiveness and acceptance.
Yeah.
Acceptance of it all being part of a necessary journey, but yeah, you can't condemn yourself for being wrong or I shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have done that. That's just going to bring you right back to where you were. It's a trust that everything's happened. I hate saying everything happens for a reason because sometimes it's a very hard pill to swallow, but it's all part of a bigger plan, a bigger picture if you surrender to it. Yeah, I think that's important.
The moment when you decide you want to make a change, I guess that's the first step in self-awareness. I want this to change.
The moment you decide you want to make a change, everything that isn't in alignment with where you think you want to go, it's going to come up. It's going to try and bring you back. The ego's going to try and keep you back. The people who don't want you to change, they'll find a way to, and there's got to be conviction. You've got to have really made that choice that you want a different life for yourself to be able to stay the course.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson talks about truth, and he talks about this idea that if you were to live as a belief, and I guess the reckoning or the self-awareness is to recalibrate what is true for you and what is acceptable. But he talks about if there's no greater thing to strive for than following the truth, no matter what the outcome of following your truth is, the alternative is worse.
I'd agree with that.
And
100%.
And then that process of following that truth, as you said, Stacey, you have to be so committed to that process that it's almost a process of burning away everything that is not in line with that. And that is horrifically terrifying for most.
It comes back to a sense of knowing who you are as well. I think if you have a strong sense of who you are and what your values are, what you stand for, that becomes your internal compass to follow. And it becomes easier to know what isn't in alignment or what isn't right for you if you know who you are. So that's a big piece of the first step, going back to that, really getting clear on who are you, who do I stand for, what do I want in life, what are my goals, what are my dreams, what's my purpose. That's not a quick answer. It takes, that's the inner work. That's this inner journey that we're all on if you're on that personal development journey.
Knowing your values is very key. I never knew what values really were until I met Stace.
Right.
This is where it comes back to what I was saying about education. If you want to make a change and you don't know how, ask for help.
If you are there and there is some, in any, like even in your own existence now, in this phase of life, if there is something that's bothering you or not not in line with your truth, then that is probably the first step to be able to go, there's something not in alignment to what I would like. Or is there a risk that if you don't attack that or you don't address that, your frequencies will change and you'll actually encourage the opposite of what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that. It's like an itch that won't go away or a sore that you're picking at and just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and till a point you can't ignore it anymore. And it's the same like in our relationship. If there's things, you have to have tough conversations that, and you have to love and respect each other enough to be able to receive that information and know that the person's calling you on something because the relationship deserves better versus you're wrong, you're this, you're that. And
wasn't meant to be easy.
Yeah.
No.
You're a mirror for each other. Being in a relationship is one of the greatest personal development journeys because they will bring up your unhealed wounds so that they can transmute you to love, in my opinion. Make you a better person if you're willing to hold yourself to that standard as well. Takes two parts.
As you said, it needs to be a willing participant.
Through
Balanced Babes and Balanced Blokes, you're not offering marriage counselling, but per se. But what if you're listening and you are wanting change in some part of your life, not necessarily your relationship, but you are going on this path, but your significant other is not that, right? Not that way inclined, but there's still a connection there. There's still a marriage there, and if maybe even the marriage is healthy and happy. But if you're leaning into this sort of way of thinking of going, all right, and then there's obviously, I'd imagine there's this reluctance as to how that will change you going down this path and how that will potentially impact the relationship that you have or the relationships you have with friends. Even with friends, friends and as well as just a significant other or family or even your job.
Yeah.
How do you temper that?
Well, I think initially you've got to ask yourself, can I grow and be the best version of myself while still in this relationship? And I believe you can. I think you can have one person that's on a personal development journey so long as the other person isn't sabotaging it.
Sure.
And that would be an unconscious thing, but is respecting where you're going. But if you're changing rapidly, I do think it is inevitable the relationship can grow apart, unfortunately. But I think with the change that you're making, you will either inspire the person to naturally come along on the journey or it will fall apart, and that's great. It was meant to fall apart too. And so we don't want to hold on to things too tightly if they're not meant to be there. And that's beautifully what you said before. If you just keep following the truth, only good can come, in my opinion. But if you shy away from the truth because you're afraid of where it might take you or afraid it might bring us apart, like I've learnt the hard way through previous relationships, Trent, I am all of me 100%, not in a I give him ultimatums point of view, but I'm like, this is my value, this is what I'm doing, are you coming? But
I guess the answer to that is the truthful answer is the correct answer.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's where you got to get to.
Yeah.
And
100%. You first. If you're in a relationship and your scenario, one person starts going down the self-development part, just keep going because it feels right for you. And as Stacey said, you might look back, they might be inspired. Oh, he or she's, look, they're doing amazing. They're either going to be triggered by that and go within and get angry and sabotage, as Stacey said, or the partners, just come to this event with me. Come and do this. We've had plenty of people come to our events. Usually it's the wife bringing the husband along. But then the husband's walking away going, oh, wow. So even just that one event can change his perspective on things.
Things can change quickly.
Yeah.
As in, you could have a partner who was dead against something and then something can shift. And the key is definitely not whinging, not nagging, not begging, not pleading them to come with you. Just do you. And by you being your truth, you'll usually inspire them or it'll go the opposite way.
Hey team, just popping in to say thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the episode, please take a second to like or follow the show and share it with a friend. It's the best way to help us grow and keep bringing you more great content. All right, let's get back into it. So talk to me then about Balanced Babes and Balanced Blokes. What are you guys, what have you experienced with clients and what are the tools that you're in? Because there's a whole range of services and everything you guys are doing. It's incredible. What are the action steps that you're implementing early on into the client's journey?
Self-awareness, I think.
Self-awareness is exactly what I was about to say.
Stillness, to look within, to connect with your intuition, to look beyond the veil.
But yeah, we use the tools that we have. We run small events with breathwork, ice baths, cacao ceremonies, which is like guided meditation, plant medicine. It's beautiful, opening the heart. Just giving tools and advice, not counselling advice. Neither of us are counsellors, but we just give advice from our experience, and it helps people.
It's just creating space for them to feel. The world is so busy. Everyone's life is a million miles an hour. We're, caught up on agendas. And I think it's to come to those events is time out to just be and listen and feel. And that's so healing, I think, for so many people. Like we talked about before about who are you? What do you stand for? If you're not making the time and space to go within and feel and listen, well, then you're running around and around in circles.
Mm. Some of what we do could be considered woo-woo, as Stacey said the word before. We feel being balanced. We're just everyday couple. I'm a builder by trade, a naturopath. We're not the typical hippie sort of people, which is why people call it woo-woo. There's nothing wrong with the hippie look or anything like that, but we wanted to bring it to the people that go, oh, that's too woo-woo for me. I'm trying to make it blokey.
Mm. We're the bridge
come
between
and do this. You can still
worlds.
have a beer on a Friday, but come to us on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. That's what the whole balance thing's about.
I get that as well in terms of that the world's busy and there's just almost too many things to entice you away from just sitting in your own mind or your own self. And I can imagine an environment where, like yours, where that elicits that opportunity. How did your clients go home and then keep that as a sustained change in their position or in their journey, rather than it just be like a boot camp style and then go back to their old ways in terms of business and what's
it has to be a choice to keep revisiting. If not coming back to an event, it's using the tools at home in your day-to-day environment. And so we teach a lot about just pausing and intention setting, and before you do anything, do it with intention. Don't just get caught in the rat race. The moment you wake up, half asleep, straight to the coffee, boil the kettle, and just do everything on autopilot. Stop, breathe, set an intention for the day, connect with your breath, just for talking 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be this big thing, but and then you start moving and making choices based on truth rather than just autopilot.
Mm. Yeah. Setting the intention is very important to being mindful, just being that self-awareness coming in again. As Stacey said, instead of being on autopilot. Even making your coffee, set an intention with it. Coffee is a plant medicine. It's a plant. It is medicinal value. I like to talk about intention, immersion, and integration. You can't have one without the other. And the integration is just as important as intention setting. So if something happens to you go to an event like breathwork, feels amazing, but as you said, they might go home and, oh, well, that was an experience. They're not really integrating what came up. So that's something I really talk into with my clients, integration, which often leads to action.
Is that because in your experience, because they're not ready, or is it because the environment that they're trying to improve is too strong on the alternate, or how do you work through that to understand?
I think it's the same as the average person's not just going to get up one day and run a marathon. It requires training and discipline and dedication over time. No one's going to pick it up instantly. It's like anything in life. You got to work at it before it becomes second nature.
Yeah, right.
You got to train it.
Let's say you had a client who has made that change, however that looks in their life, and it's a big step, but then what's your advice? But they feel like a bit of an imposter in their new life or their new shift. How do they? Because if that's a significant change to their own, what everyone else knew of them as that person, and now they're following their truth, but they feel a bit of an imposter.
Imposter syndrome. It happens to everyone. I still get it occasionally. I see it as, if you're feeling imposter syndrome, like you don't deserve this, or you're actually being successful. I haven't had this success before, so I don't deserve it. So look at it, pivot the aspect.
The lens of it, yeah.
You go, oh, This is good. I've worked for it. I've made change and I'm feeling good. That's why the imposter syndrome is sort of setting in. The knowledge and the awareness of that, change it. I deserve this success.
Yeah, you're creating a new identity for yourself. And the reality is the people that you went to high school with will probably always see you as that original person. And that's okay. They can choose to see you however they want. It's up to you to hold strong in who you choose to be and what you want to do for you and your life. And that does take a bit of courage and a bit of self-worth. Because the universe or people around you will always throw opportunities for you to shrink, to go back to old patterns. It's got to be a conscious choice to trust. And this is why we do ice bath therapy. It's hard. You can condition yourself, and it's very much like your training. And you get good at doing hard things, you can do anything, right? It's a skill. Mental toughness is a thing that you need as well. You really do.
We have 5 kids at home, and the motto is, and we say, "What do we do in this house?" And every single time they respond with, "We do hard things."
Yes, I love that.
We got to implement that.
We try it on with our kids, and they roll their eyes at us.
No. So they'll say, to anything, make your bed. Oh, what do we do in this house?
Hard things.
Yeah, but what a belief system for
Right?
them to have.
Unbelievable. To lean into the difficult, to lean into the challenge, and that's the subconscious response to say that's what we do.
Yeah.
Because my goodness, life's
not
not easy.
As a society, we're taught to do it easy. Everything's
Well, it needs to be. That's the goal, right? That's
it is
retirement and work hard, and then it can be easy.
Just as a side note, that brings up something for me. I am a believer that the mental health crisis that we're supposedly in is born of the easy life that we have. I think our body requires hard things, emotionally, spiritually. Otherwise, we start creating it for ourselves if our life is easy. So if everything's done for us, everything's automated, all the things, we just work from home, we don't have to physically work, that eventually is going to create something hard for us to try and get over. And I'm a big believer that a lot of mental health issues is surrounding that. A lot of studies coming out now saying a lot of mental health can be not cured as such, but eased just through physical activity, just through exercise.
We're very easily wrapped in cotton wool. And I as a mother, I know I'm guilty of doing it with my daughter sometimes. But the more you can, lovingly, supportingly push them through to do hard things, I think you're setting up a future for them where they're not going to get blown over in the wind as an adult. Like life is hard as an adult. We have to teach our children resilience.
There is this undercurrent of the goal of life is to be easy, right? And then I think, to your point, Trent, you get to that stage of getting all the things that are meant to be make it easy, but you're in this mindset of it needs to be easy, and then it's not in any event because life's hard, and that's the wave that hits you to go, I'm not equipped for this.
No,
like it is still as hard as. No one told me this was going to be so hard, and I wasn't ready for it. But if you're instilled at the beginning of your existence of no matter what, this is going to be challenging, then you are much more likely to take on the onslaught and tackle the dragons as they come. And also, I thought, Stacey, what you said was great in the sense that as parents and as generations, we are, you almost have this inferred obligation or implied obligation to create an environment or a life for your children that you didn't have.
Yeah.
Like that's the analogy of that.
Yeah.
Took the words out of my father's mouth.
And so, but that's interesting because then you that becomes like a silver spoon sort of in your mouth sort of thing of like, well, I will do everything that I possibly can to make these children's lives better than mine.
Yeah.
But then if you were to create a human that wanted to have a virtue of patience, you wouldn't give them everything they wanted to, or if they wanted resilience, you wouldn't give it. It wouldn't be all green lights along the road. You'd want to give them challenges to overcome.
You have to.
There's the balance in that.
It's the polarity of life. You can't even enjoy love unless you've truly experienced heartbreak.
100%.
You know, and I believe, and so by shielding our children, we're actually robbing them and depriving them of the deepest form of love and success and achievement and joy in day-to-day life, I think.
That's a whole
other podcast.
Well, yeah, it is. It's a whole episode, but it's a dichotomy because as a parent, and there's some really great fathering podcasts out there, but one that trying to ascertain, and they're relatively famous guests, and trying to work out, even just listening to it, I'm like, that father is either this idea of I'm going to give you everything. Life is already hard. I'll do everything I can possibly to make life easier for you as my children, versus having the same experience as I am. And even like things like the car breaks down, I'll fix it. I'll take it to the mechanic and I'll fix it, for your 18-year-old son.
Rather than showing them.
Rather than going, it's your problem, mate. Yeah. Go get a job.
Stand beside them through the storms. Like, you don't have to desert them.
No.
Let them know that you're there through the hard times, so they've got the support, but without shielding them from it. Like, let them feel the storm.
Is that not the same with relationships as well?
100%.
I'm here.
Yeah.
But this is your journey, or that's your issue, or that's your storm to weather.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
I'll be your cheerleader.
Yeah.
But I can't fix the problem for you.
No.
Yeah.
This has been good.
It has been.
First podcast.
Thank you.
Not for Stacey. Not for Stacey. She's experienced.
She's a seasoned veteran.
Yeah. All right. Before you leave, fast 5. As fast as you can to answer. Individual answers though. No combined answers. So first question, what does success mean to you, Stacey?
Time freedom. Having the ability to do what I want when I want.
Okay.
With who I want.
Trent, no wrong answers.
Achieving goals, and even better, achieving goals in the time frame you've made them.
I'll stay with you. What does happiness mean to you?
Time with family and friends is happiness for me. It's a journey.
Full self-expression, freedom again. So being surrounded by loved ones and doing what you want all day, every day.
This might be a combined answer. What does your morning routine usually look like?
Oh, no, very different.
Okay.
I try and jump in on hers occasionally.
Right.
You go first.
Well, this lovely human turns the sauna on for me about 5 a.m. I roll out of bed about 5:30, have a 30-minute sauna where I visualize, meditate, do some Psych K, set the mindset up for the day. I then do a coffee enema, make a cold pressed juice. Sometimes do some breath work as part of that. Then I'll take the kids to school, then exercise.
She's good, isn't she?
That's good.
I'm up construction, so we start early. Where the week we have our kids week on, week off.
Mm-hmm.
The week I have the kids, I might jump in the sauna with her. But the non-negotiables for me are water first as soon as you wake up. The one I kind of forget to do every now and then is touch the earth and breath and a coffee. Water before coffee, but definitely breathing.
Question 4, which is going to be great to listen to here, knowing your backgrounds. What piece of advice would you give to your younger self that you would put on a billboard for the world to see?
Find your purpose and you'll know your path.
Oh, Trent, we need that. We need that on a t-shirt. That was fantastic.
It's going to be the name of my next men's program.
Love it.
I would just tell her to stop trying so hard. Stop seeking love outside of yourself. Yeah, it was a big one, just not having any form of self-love.
Stop seeking love outside of yourself is great.
Just know how worthy you are just because you're alive. You don't need to prove it to anyone. Just be you, be happy. Yeah.
Love that. And then finally, a guest that you either individually or both think we should have on the show.
I'm going to recommend my father.
Okay.
He knows your father, actually. Alan Parry.
Okay.
You know Griffiths Parry was?
Yeah.
He's got a pretty cool story.
Okay.
He never went to uni.
Yeah, right. We've got one of those here.
I'm going to recommend Todd Jarrett. He's a performance coach. I think you'd get on great with him.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Stacey and Trent, keep doing what you're doing. It's so cool, and I sort of feel like it is such a great conduit between the normal and the woo, and you have inspiring stories, and
I'm so thankful to spend the afternoon with you.
Thanks for having us.
It's been fun. Thank you.
It's been fun.
That was another episode of the Success Times Happiness podcast. Next time you're in an ice bath, turn to the person next to you and tell them all about the show. It really means a lot. Huge thanks to Stacey and Trent for sharing such powerful, honest reflections on today's episode. Remember that the unknown isn't as scary as it seems. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. That's how we keep growing this community together. Until next time, peace.